Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We have a very special guest today, Rick Campo, very familiar with our city and our leadership, of course, because he's worked so extensively for decades, making sure our city is vibrant, strong, that our economy is good, and that Houston can do business. He chairs the Port Houston Authority Board. He's going to talk to us a little bit about that, and also CEO of Camden. Rick, thanks for joining us.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. So I last saw you at the Kinder Institute where you were recognized for the many, many things that you were involved with, including your role with HISD and so much more.
Mhm.
And you're recognized often because people understand that it's not just the professional role that you play, as an entity that has done so much here in Houston and it's been very philanthropic. But then on your own time as well, you're doing all of these community activities, and you have been in key leadership roles, everything from heading up our Super Bowl to so much more, Rick. And first, let me say thank you, congratulations for all that you've done. But talk to us about that, your leadership roles and why you continue to serve.
Well, it's pretty simple. It really is about giving back to the community that has been so good to me and my family here in Houston. When I first moved here, coming up on 50 years next year, I came to the city like most people do. I didn't have a job. I didn't have, much. I probably had two nickels I could rub together in my pocket, and I just needed to figure out, how to make my way, in the community. And over the years, it's been really, really good to me. And I think that part of the responsibility that we have as I think just people in general is that we need to make our communities better. And so there are people before me that did a lot of really good things that allowed my company and my business and my family to thrive. And like, for example, what you do every day with the chamber. I mean, it's a journey that we all are on, and the question is, where are you going to be part of that, or how are you going to be part of that journey? And for me, getting involved in civic things was part of the sort of payback, but also it's a lot of fun to get involved in interesting things, and it's a way to kind of keep relevant too.
Yes, well, it is a lot of fun. And it is also very rewarding, as I'm sure it was for you when we had the Super Bowl here. And I was part of the group that collaborated with you all, and it was a great success. And those are monumental feats, right?
Well, and now you have the World Cup coming that you're
Yes,
involved in, right?
yes. I'm
That'll
very
be fun.
fortunate. That's a lot of fun. It's going to be a phenomenal economic driver for our city. Every one of those matches is the equivalent of one Super Bowl. And so the leadership at the Sports Authority, our mayor, our
Mhm.
elected officials, others, Chris Canetti, Ryan Walsh, and so many, even before that entire group, so
Sure.
many people in this great city
Mhm.
brought that here, and I'm glad to be a small part of that team. But I want to talk to you a little bit now about certainly the port. It's a
Sure.
huge economic driver. You've
Mhm.
been very involved there. What should folks know about the Port of Houston?
Well, it is interesting because when you think about Houstonians, right, the 7+ million people that live in this region, not many people know a lot about the port. They know that it's there. They know that we're close to the ocean, 52 miles away, by the way, which is where the size of the channel. But they don't realize that pretty much every consumer good, whether it be clothing or whatever people use, comes through the port. So the port has been vital for Houston for forever. It's over 100, I think 110 years old now since it was first dredged. Excuse me. And the thing that's really interesting about the port that I really love about it is that it's really a job creator. It's probably, when you think about the Houston economy, you think of oil and gas as one part, medical as another part. Medical center is obviously the biggest medical center in the country, and then the port is kind of the third leg of the stool. And there's an old saying that Houston is the city that built the port, and the port is the entity that built the city. Because without the ability to for commerce to flow, then you just don't have growth. And so the port, just for a couple of important stats, it's roughly $439 billion of economic value, almost 20% of the Texas GDP, and responsible for like 1.9 million jobs in our region. So when you think about it, it's just massive. And the way I think about the port, and the reason I got involved in the port was that it is an incredible asset to our region, and we just have to be stewards of that asset to make sure that we continue to grow it. And because when we grow the port, we grow jobs and we improve the community overall. It's pretty hard to have a high quality of life if you don't have a job, and the port provides a lot of jobs and a lot of high quality life for Houstonians. So that's why I'm involved in it.
And certainly it requires a lot of different entities that collaboration, et cetera. And
No
they've been a
question.
big part of this chamber as sponsor
Mhm.
of this chamber. And we encourage folks to visit the website. There's opportunities for businesses, for vendors. They provide a lot of some of the first small business programs in the city were started at the
Mhm.
port. So it's
Our
important.
small business program is over $1 billion now
Yes,
in terms
very.
of commitments to small business.
Yes, and so it makes a big difference in our
Mhm.
region and across the country and globe. Rick, HISD, certainly that's been a topic of great interest to many. We saw some recent reports about stars and the scores going up, but at the same time can be very polarizing. So, from your perspective as an individual who's leading the helm of the volunteers over there, tell us what folks should know.
Well, I think the HIC is a very interesting entity and definitely a political topic. The challenge you have when you make substantial change is that
Yes.
you're going to bother someone. So it's kind of the old adage of who moved my cheese, right? And so unfortunately, HISD had underperformed for our students for decades, and we had this massive gap between white nation students and black and brown students. I mean, massive gap, like 38 points of differential in terms of their grade level expectations. And so the state intervened and came in and appointed the board of managers, and I'm the president of the board of managers. And what we've been trying to do is we've been trying to prove that through systemic change that we can move the needle and we can actually help underachieving students actually achieve. And if you look at the last 2 years, we have moved the needle faster and more aggressively than ever has been done in America. We just got our high school star numbers that just came out, and we went from a 38% of our kids passing Algebra 1 to 51%. And by the way, a 2 or 3 percentage point per year is gold in the school districts. But if you start talking about 38 points to 38% to 51%, that is just never heard of in America. And so the thing that's really important about of that, and a lot of people talk about test scores and they worry that you're that test scores are not all that they should be. But at the end of the day, I use Algebra 1 as a good example because Algebra 1 is the algebra is the math area that really is a predictor for kids and how they do in the future, whether it be in technical careers or going to college and things like that. And so when we can move the needle that much through systemic change, that shows that the kids are doing better, and it changes the trajectory of a kid's life if they in fact can do math, read, write, and create value long term. So we will continue on the path that we're on, which is systemic change. And I know there's going to be voices in the community that don't like what's going on, and that's always going to happen. But at the end of the day, we're focused on the kids, and we're focused on making sure we change the trajectory of lives long term. There was just recently a article in the Chronicle that Good Reason Houston came up with some math on, and they said that HIC graduates in 2017 that only 17% of them made a living wage. And when you think about that, that's 6 years after they graduated from high school. And a minimum wage, just put it in context, is $20 an hour. And so if 83% of our kids can't make $20 an hour after after high school, we're just not preparing our kids for the future, and we just need to do that. And so you have to make substantial changes, and that's what we're doing.
Well, and also in terms of our community and business, bringing business here, making sure we have
Mhm.
good public schools and that they are thriving, and change can be difficult. Facts are facts. And we're seeing the numbers and we're seeing the increases and the growing pains Okay.
Sure.
I'm following through all of
The
that.
top two, one of the top two reasons why or at least on companies' lists to move here are how are your schools? Top two, right? And so you're like, okay, well, if our schools aren't great, guess what? Companies won't move here, and we can't place the people that we need to run our companies. And that's what, when you think about schools, HISD is a workforce development entity, period, end of story. So if you measure it based on the last 20 years and how we've done in that, we've failed miserably. So it's time to change, and we're an agent of that change right now.
Well, thank you for your leadership there and so much more. You said 50 years now, next year, you'll celebrate as a Houstonian because we claim you. But for folks that don't know you, Rick, tell them a little bit about where you're from and a little bit about your personal side.
Okay, so my father opened a restaurant here right after I got out of college in 1976. And the best thing that ever happened to me was he went broke in like 2 months. And so, or three, something like that. It wasn't a long-term deal. And so the great thing was he moved back to Dallas, and I stayed in Houston. I didn't know a soul, so I just went out and got a job. And in 1976, Houston was on fire from a job growth perspective. It was just incredible. So the first 5 years of my business career, Houston was one of the best places in America, primarily because of the oil boom after the oil embargo that happened in the 70s. And then after the next 5 years, I got a job in the real estate business, and I've only had one job out of college. So I don't count my father, so he didn't really pay me. But I got a job with the development company that built Greenway Plaza and Allen Center downtown. And over time, it's mutated into Camden. I did a leverage buyout, meaning that I bought my division of my company in the 80s, and then it's kind of grown to Camden. So you could, when you think about Camden, it's a $17 billion public company. We started with nothing, just my partner Keith Oden and I, and we built a great enterprise that's headquartered in Houston, owns apartments across America. Very well respected company. It's been on the Fortune 100 best companies to work for list for 18 years straight. As a matter of fact, this week we were named the number one company to work for in Texas by the Great Place to Work Institute for the second year in a row. So that's a fast forward of just starting from nothing, creating value by working hard, understanding how to build a team, and then make sure that you understand that it's really not about you; it's about your team. And so, even though I'm maybe the quarterback or the coach or whatever you want to call that, I'm not the team, and without my team, we would not be a great company. So, Camden's a great, I think, sort of poster company, if you want to call it that, for what you can get done in Houston without any capital, just a great idea, high integrity, hard work ethic. You can get pretty much anything done here. If you can dream it, you can get it done in Houston. And it's the limiting factor is what you want to do personally. And part of the equation, I think, for me was that I have this kind of philosophy of never stop learning. And people, that it's easy to say, but the challenge is people just don't take risks. They don't go, oh, gee, I don't know anything about that. So how can I do that? Right. When Mayor Turner, God rest his soul, called me and asked me to be involved in the port, I didn't know anything about ports. It's like, what? I know there's ships and stuff, but there's water, but at the end of the day, it wasn't that hard to figure it out. So it was new for me, and I was able to grasp it, understand it, and then be able to use my teams behind me that helped me understand it better and ramp up my learning curve. And I think that's the biggest challenge that most people have is they don't have maybe the adventurous spirit that says, maybe I can do that. And even if they don't know how to do it, I mean, I was always a fake it till you make it kind of guy, and then pretty much everybody thinks you can do anything.
Well, I think if there's one thing about you, Rick, everybody thinks you can do anything, and that's how you've been tapped so many times, and you've taken the helm, and you're a great leader. And I was just at lunch with one of your former employees, and he was talking about his exiting Camden, and that he was wanting to thank you, and that you spent the time thanking him for all the projects that he's worked on. So you're a great leader, you're well respected, and we are so fortunate to have you in this great city we call Houston. On behalf of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors and staff, we invite you to consider becoming a sponsor of our upcoming annual awards gala, the largest Hispanic gala in the city of Houston, where we will be recognizing some incredible individuals from our greater Houston area. The date is Saturday, November the 8th at the Thompson Hotel. Become a sponsor today. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us on our program today. It's with great pleasure that I introduce one of our newest board members who's doing a phenomenal job leading as Regional Senior Vice President of Comcast, and his name is Jose Espinel. Thank you so much, Jose, to you and your team. You've been great to the city. You've been great to the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you for those kind words. My pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So, we love the work that you all do, and it's so important because we can't do anything without making sure that we've got connectivity, and the world and technology ever changing. I'm not sure how you guys keep up with it, but you do. So let's start there, right? What are some of the changes? How is it impacting your customers? And what are you guys doing to stay ahead of it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the main thing is how much we rely today on the internet, right? You were mentioning that, and that dependence is growing by the minute. And if you think about it, it all started during the pandemic when everybody had to work remotely and study remotely. And as we're doing here today, we got really good at this, right? We got really good at virtual communications. But even beyond that, you think about how connected we are. And I wanted to ask you a question, Dr. Murillo. How many connected devices do you have at home?
I didn't realize it, but in a previous conversation I had with someone, it appears I have about 20.
20, well, that's not far from the average. I think our average customer has about 36 connected devices, and that number continues to increase because we have more and more smart devices. Now we even have toasters that are connected to the internet. And again, it's not only the increase in that remote communication that we're seeing, the proliferation of connected devices, but also the type of content that is going through the network. It's evolving. So today, 70% of the traffic that we see in our Xfinity network is actually entertainment. If you think about all the live sports that are moving into streaming platforms, more applications, more use cases, we're seeing a dramatic increase in traffic. And year after year, that traffic is growing by double digits. And if you think about, especially here in the Houston area, when you think about the Rockets, the Astros, the Texans, and the World Cup that is coming next year, we know our customers are not going to want to miss any moment of all that live streaming action. And again, this is why it's important to have a network, a provider that can sustain all of that traffic. And we're very proud in Comcast to the fact that over the last decade we've spent about $80 billion in making sure that our network can sustain and anticipate all of those trends.
Yes, and not only that, but also, I'm sure, a great investment in being prepared for some of the natural disasters that our city and our country face that are out of your hands. So what are some of the proactive things that you all have done in that space?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when we talk about network, and we know that there's a lot of providers out there, right? There's a lot of competition, which is a great thing to our customers. But in my opinion, the most important thing is the overall experience that you provide our customers. So to that end, there's three particular things that I wanted to talk about. Is convergence, reliability, and security. So from a convergence point of view, and again, specifically talking about convergence between internet and mobile, some people don't know this, but actually 90% of the traffic that goes in our network between a mobile and our network is through a Wi-Fi connection. So again, with our company, people can enjoy not only at home great state-of-the-art gateways that we have for them, but also we have a network of 23 million hotspots that are out there for the public to use, for our customers to use. And the best part is that we've equipped those Wi-Fi hotspots with a technology that we call Power Boost that allows them to connect to a device with speeds up to 1 gigabit per second. So what that means is that whether you're sitting at home trying to stream your favorite movie or your favorite coffee shop, you can have the fastest and best reliable technology in Wi-Fi. Reliability is the other one, right? Because we know that nowadays for customers, having high reliability is at the top of the list. So I'll point out a couple of things. First, we're all the time monitoring the devices that we have in our network. We collect about 4,000 data points across in millions of devices every 20 minutes. And what that allows us to do is prioritize the bandwidth that we have for each connection so people can have the best experience. And I'll probably close on the security side, because not only you want a provider that, again, has convergence, have reliability, but cybersecurity is a big threat that we face. And how do we solve that at Comcast? We have teams of thousands of people that are experts in cybersecurity. They're monitoring our network all the time. And in the last 5 years, we've been able to block about 10 billion cyber attacks to devices that are connected to our network. That's billions with a B. And
Wow.
that's because we build security into our network. And that's basically, in essence, what we provide our customers. That's what it means to have the best experience, is that conversions, the reliability, and the security.
Wow. Well, I can see why you're so busy and your team is always out there communicating. And we are so thankful for that and so much more. And to have you on our board as a valued advisor has been very impactful and significant. And so I want to take just a few seconds for you to share with those folks who might be considering becoming corporate sponsors, your experience through your corporation and what value added the Chamber has brought.
Absolutely. Yeah. First of all, I need to thank you, Dr. Murillo, because the work that you and the Chamber do for our community, it's outstanding. It's not only our Hispanic businesses that, by the way, all of the small businesses that we serve in the Chamber, those are going to become the large businesses in our community. So the impact that your organization have, and you're in particular as a great leader for our community, is outstanding. So for me, I mean, as a board member and as a representative of our company that truly believes in the importance of this segment, the connection with the Chamber is extremely important for us. We want to continue creating upward mobility for our communities, and in that way, we celebrate the mission that you follow in the Chamber.
Well, we thank you for that and for the outstanding individuals that are involved here at the Chamber with us and with you. We thank you again for everything, and we appreciate you, Jose. Thanks so much. On behalf of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors and staff, we invite you to consider becoming a sponsor of our upcoming annual awards gala, the largest Hispanic gala in the city of Houston, where we will be recognizing some incredible individuals from our greater Houston area. The date is Saturday, November the 8th at the Thompson Hotel. Become a sponsor today. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Now more than ever, we know the important role that your bank plays in your upward mobility, in your business, etc. And these are very important times for some crucial conversations for you to have. Our former chairman, who's been very involved with this for almost 20 years now, is with us, and his name is Scott Silvas. He's joining us. He represents Fifth Third Commercial Bank, Texas Market President. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Laura. Always a pleasure to be here. very privileged to have had the opportunity to lead the chamber last year as the board chair, and enjoying my role as immediate past chair, which I can also spend more time being a good corporate sponsor of the Hispanic Chamber and making sure we're getting all the great value and benefits we can get, because the Hispanic Chamber has been a wonderful resource for us.
Well, thank you so much. And speaking of, commercial clients are so important. Tell us what you're seeing out there, what your clients and potential clients should know about Fifth Third Bank.
Absolutely. Well, I think a lot of the major headlines are somewhat well known, so I won't necessarily reiterate all that. But broadly speaking, some of the bigger projects, bigger expansions, bigger initiatives that business owners really want to embark on are just on pause. Quite frankly, it's great that they're maybe not fully canceled and just completely mothballed. But given the current environment and the level of uncertainty and volatility we've seen in the first 4 months this year, everyone just doesn't have the confidence to make big endeavors right now. So that means that we're still staying close with a lot of our clients and making sure they have our view of the market and what we're anticipating and where we think there could be some challenges. On the bright side, though, Lauda, there's still quite a bit of activity where some people still have some confidence to maybe take on some smaller things. If someone's working capital line of credit is a certain size and they see more potential in new business development and new contracts, they might need to expand that working capital line of credit. We've absolutely supported our clients. We've won new clients because we're still willing to understand what industry and sector they operate in, where they might still have some constraints from a banking and financial services standpoint, and still have tons of confidence. This is still Texas. We're still growing above the national average, tons of in-migration, tons of pent-up demand that is still available to be harvested this year.
And it's a great time to reassess, as you were mentioning, for your current clients and others, is to look at other opportunities, to get an assessment, to sit down with you all to see what the opportunities are.
Absolutely. That's right. And a lot of times, sometimes, conversations might lead off with big, financing initiatives, supporting some big investments. As things have not gone as well this year, I think a lot of business owners are revisiting their budget and their forecast. And if they've had a chance to take a pause and say, well, we're not going to allocate all our resources for a big project, but can we tackle some other internal things? The focus to automate processes within companies has been ongoing for a number of years and continues to evolve. Figuring out where you can digitize a process where there's paper and manual processes inside of an organization. There's tons of efforts to figure out how to automate and digitize the process. And a lot of those, can create some efficiencies, be a little bit of cost savings, allow you to repurpose some of your headcount. So there are some other things Fifth Third is doing in the market, other ways we're adding value and helping companies as they continue to navigate this year.
And as an example, Fifth Third has been a corporate sponsor for many years. I know that for 2025, you all have moved your focus toward the architects, engineers, and contractors, as well as our CEO breakfast. Let our audience understand why that's important to Fifth Third and what it does for your business.
Absolutely. Well, as you mentioned, we've had the great joy and benefit of being a really large sponsor of the luncheon for 5 years in a row, which we were very proud of. As we continue to grow and expand in the market, our Houston office now has over 25 people across a number of 5 to 7 to 10 different lines of business. So we took the opportunity to say and work closely with the chamber in terms of thoughts and ideas around putting some more curated events together, more targeted, some things that really help the chamber that also align really well with where we've expanded as a commercial bank. And so that's, as you mentioned, it might be the CEO breakfast. It might be something that's a little more industry specific with some initiatives the chamber has. So it was a great opportunity to allow the chamber to continue bringing on some more corporate sponsors. And I know that's a coveted position to be the lead sponsor of the luncheon. And so, we felt it's time to be a little unselfish, relinquish that, but focus on some other things we could do to or win-win for us and for the chamber.
Well, thank you for that and for your ongoing involvement, whether it was a member, a volunteer, on to becoming our chairman and now as a chairman emeritus. Our thanks to the entire Fifth Third team for their investment and their time. Scott, anything else you'd like to leave our audience with?
Thank you again. Look forward to the next Hispanic Chamber event, and it's still always great to be operating in our wonderful city of Houston.
Thank you so much, Scott. We appreciate you.